Hi there, welcome to Secret Wyckoff Technical Analysis session. 2 weeks ago when we covered Secret, we already talked about a potential breakout will happen near the end of September, and indeed it happened just this week, and it went all the way past the orange key level at a point that's over 24 cents. So let's quickly take a look and see where it is heading and what stage of Wyckoff it is in from both the weekly and daily time frame perspective. Here we're in the weekly chart to start with. The spring hasn't happened, fortunately. So this, we call it a test in Wyckoff. For spring to happen, that dip, the red candle, would have to go much deeper. So this was the triangle we talked about 2 weeks ago that creates the time point for a breakout. And like I said many times, if you're into candlestick pattern analysis, this is a descending triangle. Supposedly, this would lead to that was a bearish sign and leading to a price drop, but that's not the case over here. Obviously, you can argue also, hey, it's a descending wedge, so it's a bullish sign. Yeah, I can give you a point for that. So it's really tricky if you just look at candlestick pattern analysis and like just seeing one but missing another. So again, don't just blindly follow the textbook definition, and always cross-check whether you have missed anything by looking bigger, zooming out, or zooming in. And then back to the Wyckoff stage. After the test here, we've got this bump. I would say, as of this moment, I'll give it another sign of strength because it hasn't successfully closed above this orange key level of 24 cents, which the automatic rally was there for 2 weeks. It closes above that level for 2 weeks back in April and first week of May. And now it has gone outside of the wedge. So what we're going to expect is this, the backup last point of supply. So we've put the 75% over here for preliminary supply. So might as well just align the percentage. So hopefully, assuming Secret is starting to head towards the new distribution cycle, then eventually it may go up again and probably trade sideways above the orange key level of 0.24. That's where the backup or last point of support is, and then eventually heads towards the PSY. And then that's only part of it, like it's not 100%, right? This 25%, even though it may not be a spring, I'll change it to a test for now, because test is basic. Spring is basically one kind of test. It's just a deeper test that's lower than the selling climax. So there's still chance for it to come back and challenge the red key level of 16 cents, because that's very common. If you see what happened over here, we had an automatic rally back in August, and then a sign of strength in late September, both in 2024, not this year. End of August 2024, end of September 2024. Automatic rally, sign of strength. Let me enlarge this. So if you're on a mobile phone, it's easier for you to see. And then eventually what happened? It got a platform period, horizontal trading area, and then dipped towards the spring that's at a lower point than the selling climax itself. So that's why I said, while we are hoping for a positive move to the upside, don't be caught off guard for the final shakeout before that happens, because that's very common. Even though it's not a must, a lot of times there will be such a dip to shake people out before the whales or the composite man in Wyckoff terms move the price upwards. That's an example of a pretty flat period without that big of a dip. So we would have both scenarios. Just be careful while we're seeing this sign of strength. Don't celebrate too early. However, if you have caught the move when we talked about this breakout 2 weeks ago, from that point, let's say, so our session was on September 21st. That's this week. So the lowest point was around 17 cents. Even if you were at the highest, still 17 cents, 84. From that point to where you probably took profit or your stop loss forced you to take profit, that's about 30% gain. So if you have made that 30% gain, congratulations. I give you some big claps over here. So good call. Here, again, the big picture, we're still waiting for that to happen. Higher hope on the upside, while being cautious towards the downside. Not related to these two lines because they shouldn't be, well, the bottom shouldn't be relevant anymore. This top line over here may have become or turned into a support line. So we'll see if the price really comes down. It should have become a support line in addition to the red key level. So let's take a look at Bollinger Band Corner Squeeze. Even with this big price move that we are having this week, technically the squeeze is still going on. You see these vertical shades, these bars, big bars covering the entire screen. That's the squeeze according to the technical indicator. And now this force hasn't been released yet. So when the force finally got released, we'll see very big swings. Well, obviously the swing would eventually decline in magnitude, but initially it's going to be huge. Examples, again, I just don't talk about it. I'll let you see. So one example was here, when we had our buying climax back in end of last year. And then this one was close enough, not fully a squeeze, but still leading to the peak we had back in 2023 and early 2024. Also a squeeze along the downtrend, which brought us from this horizontal trading zone, swinging all the way down before it finally bounced up and just continue with the swings. So a swing can mean either up or down, but we are at a stage that's mid-late stage of accumulation. So the higher hope is for the swing to initially go to the upside. And one more important point is, if we eventually have the buying climax, it better touches at least the purple key level of 77 cents. Reason being, for the past two peaks, this buying climax over here back in December last year, this upthrust back in March 2024 also, were both able to hit or passes this purple key level. This is a level set by this, I would say, preliminary support stage during the fall from the biggest peak after the launch of SCRT. So that's a significant resistant level. However, if we want to see a confirmation of the long-term investment or speculative value of SCRT, that's the level that the coming buying climax has to hit. Otherwise, if it closes or reach a level only below the 0.65 blue key level, much like what happened over here, like even lower than the light blue, I'm worried that it's showing a declining trend where it may mean lots of interest from people speculating in secret. So be mindful of that. And let's get to the daily. Technically speaking, we are at a post squeeze period. So this squeeze actually, if we look at the lines, the purple was or has been within a very close range of the orange for a prolonged period. So started from mid-August, the purple has been sticking around the orange. So even if we don't have these shades at the back, I would consider the squeeze actually started back in August 11th, and then it lasted all the way till September 21st, whereas the 22nd was the start of a swing. First it swing downwards and then eventually to where we are. So as of now, the squeeze force has been released, but then the swing isn't over yet. So a lot of times you see swings, very big swings, and then eventually they decrease in magnitude until it consolidates again towards another bigger swing. So that's for Bollinger Band counter squeeze. In terms of Wyckoff, so that's where we said the breakout would happen. We talked about this backup or last point of support stage for the accumulation cycle here. So that's a test. We may have entered this stage or about to enter this stage now. So it didn't happen right up here. It's happening over here, potentially. So assuming this is another sign of strength, this would come after. That's assuming the 25% chance coming back down for another test doesn't happen. So this aligns with what we talked about in the weekly chart. 75%. Okay, just checking if there are any new trends being formed, because this was definitely a sharp move, and I don't see it's a trend. So what I'm talking about is, if I were to draw a trend box, the channel box, upward channel box, it would look like this. But well, I won't say it's impossible, it's just very steep, and currently we see half or even longer than half the size of the candle for today's candle over here. So when the price passes the 24 cents orange key level, very strong pushback or selling happened. So this volume bar over here, while it's of similar height compared to October 1st and 2nd, Wednesday and Thursday, the first one on the 1st was a positive sign. The second one was a sign of hesitation because of the cross we have, meaning the bulls and the bears kind of agreed that that's the day. We called off at around 19 cents. Similar sense for October 3rd. Basically, they are agreeing at that equilibrium position. Just when we head to today, where it seems to have hit the bottom edge of the upward channel box, then we've got this massive push outwards, just got rejected all the way back to this roughly the center. So this volume combined both the push upwards and this push downwards. So the meaning of these three volume bars are very different. So hopefully this uptrend hold true and we continue to see trading re-challenge this 24 cents orange key level, passes through it, and continue with the uptrend. So assuming this uptrend is valid, the time point we have here is October 10th. So this, when the orange line crosses this blue line, that's on coming Friday. If the price continues to stay within this uptrend without coming back down to challenge this yellow dashed line or the red key level, understand the prerequisite here. The breakout timing will be next few days. So it either breaks above this orange key level of 24 cents, that's the positive scenario, confirming this uptrend continues, or it breaks outside of this trend box, meaning the slope, at least the slope of this box, isn't that steep, depending on how far it drops. Because currently we only have very limited points to take as reference for this uptrend. So it can happen in a way more mild but wider. So that's what I'm talking about. So it can drop to somewhere here that confirms another point we can take reference. But for now, it's too early to tell. So both scenario, positive and negative, will lead to two different time frames. So, however, the coming Friday is key. So any day before that, we'll see a direction change. One is confirming this direction, so meaning it's not coming down, but heading towards the north. The other is potentially heading towards the supports down here. The volume, I would say, is positive because even the lower days, Friday and yesterday, were still much higher than what we have on average. It's about 3 to 4 times higher than what we had all the way back to, I don't even know, like July was still lower but close enough. So for half a year almost, we haven't had this kind of volume even on low days. So that's a positive sign that SCRT is absolutely gaining attention. But remember, I mentioned about this already. So let me set this uptrend box just for the daily and below, not to mess up with the weekly. So remember what I talked about this. While we're hoping for it to go up, be careful for a deeper test before the climb actually happens. So it happens before over here back in November last year. There was a bit of a horizontal trading zone, this area. And then a quick dip before it launches up. So we have gone through this horizontal area now, and whether or not it's going to dip to the spring, which is a much lower level than what we had before, but not impossible, because remember how deep SCRT has dropped back in 2022. So be mindful of that. Final shakeout before the distribution eventually starts. Thanks for joining me. Set your stop loss. Have a great day. Ciao.